Yay! Wow,
Right.
look at the cake.
You see
That
the
is
cake, Takara?
awesome.
You saved me a piece?
It's a cupcake cake, Bill.
Oh,
So,
nice.
and so there's Takara. There's your name on the bottom.
Love it.
Hello, Jackie. How are you? Lisa, nice to see you.
Hello. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. We're going to have lots of cake around the house this weekend because tomorrow my wife Julie is her birthday as well. So we have
Wow.
calories are going to roll in like crazy.
Double party time over there. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Absolutely.
Well, I did put on my Facebook post that that I knew Mark would become a best-selling author by the time I turned 49. You just didn't know that the deadline was tomorrow.
Right.
That's right.
Right. Exactly. Hey, Katrina made it. Thanks for coming.
Hi, everyone.
We'll toast to
Get
you.
a glass
this
of
one
wine.
you can grab a drink.
That's right. We'll all grab a drink and we'll have happy
You're no
hour.
longer working.
I got another cool thing. for drinks.
I was going to say, show some of the fabulous prizes, Takara. I've actually already told Julie to rig the fabulous prizes, so I win a mug. But so if I win, don't really.
All right. So my son got to join us too. Jess is
Hello,
here.
Jess. So Takara, why don't you? What else do we? What other fabulous prize do we have for that you have to show? Do we have the other fabulous?
I don't have it with me. I have them, but they're not here with me. But we also have journals that match the cover also, just like the mug does. It uses part of the picture and unleash your future on the journals. So we have a couple journals, we have a couple books, we have a couple mugs. So being here live is a good thing because we're giving away prizes.
Nice.
Absolutely. So we're happy that you could join us. And a couple things, it's interesting because we have a mix of people, and even my wife, we were kidding earlier that like I've been working on this book for a long time, and Lisa Wechtenheiser that's been on there, like this whole balloon image, it came up probably more than 5 years ago. I was working with her on something. So this balloon image is carried through, and I've been writing this book for so long. And, Julie knows I've been working on this book for so long, but I'm not really sure she really knows kind of what it's even about. So other than when she started to read it here. So we want to go through a little bit just to give some people some ideas of what might be, what are you going to run into when you pick the book up. It is, some people may have heard of Law of Attraction, some not. If you haven't heard of it, you may come to learn a little bit, or even if you have heard of it, our hope is you come away, we've created kind of a new understanding. And the law of attraction, simply put, is that your experiences in reality are really rooted in your thoughts. So some people will say, as you think, like, so you experience. And well, that's kind of this really high level kind of way of somebody saying something. But a lot of times people will come to, they'll say to me, so do you do law of attraction? And I'll say, like, well, I do law of attraction the way I do gravity. Right. So the law of gravity, I don't really do anything. I just show up and gravity just holds me to the earth every day. I don't walk out and wait to like, hey, am I going to float off the earth today? So the law of attraction has so many misunderstandings about it. It's like, oh, well, it's something that I do when there's something I want, like who wouldn't want $1 million? So it seems like I don't have $1 million. So it seems like the law of attraction would be the perfect thing to try it on, like to go after $1 million. But it really, it makes it very popular. So if you go out on the internet and do a search on the law of attraction, you'll see about 57 million things about the law of attraction, but it's really hard to filter out of that what actually is real and what isn't. And what we wanted to do was really kind of pull in here and say, what is it? And then how does one work with it, right? So with gravity, you don't really have to think about it. This law, if it's a law, it has to be working all the time. And all the time means if all your thoughts turn into reality, or not all your thoughts, or at least your strongest ones, which is kind of what we're going to talk about. How does that occur? So one can become intentional with it. But one of the first things we talk about is that if this is a new concept, you have to come to some acceptance of it. Either acceptance that it's plausible, right? Okay, is this plausible? Or I don't think it's plausible, it's crazy. But if it's a law, even if you decided I don't think gravity exists, I think the facts would, you'd be in dispute with that. But so in this case, if you come to acceptance, there can be some crazy things that come up. So in like page 33 of the book, we start talking about this process of acceptance, and really acceptance of anything that's different, right? So if you go from, hey, I had this long held belief that maybe it's just hard work, that this is how one creates success, or there are other models at which you have in your head. What we start to say is if you then say, here's the law, which says that my thoughts are creating it, but your first thing going to be, but what about those things I don't want? I'm not creating those things I don't want. Can't be. I would only create the things I want. And really what it comes down to is just the non-understanding of the law. Like, so, and we like to have just really high level mechanism that it's a transformation of energy, right? So thought energy becomes physical matter, which is just a denser form of energy. And we're all very familiar with energy transformation, the electricity in your house. Like Bill has a solar panel on top of his house. So solar energy is going through being converted into electrical power. Wind power gets wind, so you get mechanical energy into electrical energy. So it's a simple mechanism that we have, but we have to come to accept it first before we can do anything else. So that's kind of the first point we want to make. And one of the things you'll see in the book, we wrote this book as a journey, not just as we say, yes, we're giving you here's the formula, but we put it in the context of a journey, because you could have the formula, but if you don't understand it in the journey, because there's personal work you will need to understand, and things that you need to do to actually make the formula work. So you can't get away with now you can find plenty of things out there in the law of attraction where they're effortless. But I'll guarantee you that you'll do more effort by going through the thousands and thousands of effortless things till you finally figure out, and now I actually should put some work in. So we can help you shortcut that by actually going to to what we say is to understand how it really works as a start.
Exactly.
So Takara, what do you have? What say you on that topic?
Well, there's a few things I want to say. So one thing I want to say is that, in doing the research, I've been successfully manifesting since I was in my 20s, right? I didn't know had a name. I didn't know, sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't, but I've been utilizing the pieces of it for decades. But it's like, one of the things we discovered in some of our research is that 94% of the people who learn about law of attraction and try to make it work for themselves actually are disappointed. They don't get the results they want, or the results they get is not consistent, right? And so we're like, okay, there's got to be a way to sidetrack that. There's got to be some way to explain it, understand it, utilize it in a way that it's much more repeatable, much more, just more simple and much less theoretical and much more practical, right? So that's the beautiful thing about Mark and my background. I'm a very scientific person. I was an engineer that really kind of went the other way and became quite intuitive, and now find balance between the two things, as I live my life. Mark, is a scientist and has learned to kind of go that way as well. So we meet in the middle, where I sit on the very intuitive, kind of maybe even more spiritual side, and he sits more on the scientific side. And you kind of need both. I'm not saying it's spiritual woo-woo, because it is not, okay? But it's not a science book. It's not a thing that talks about, all this nitty-gritty sciencey stuff. We give some examples, we give a lot of exercises, but we boiled it down to a formula, a repeatable formula, an easy to understand formula. And then it's just working through the different pieces of it and understanding what to do to utilize them. But I think that statistic of 94% of the people that use it are dissatisfied. I think that, I mean, that fired us up to find a solution, and we're very confident that we have.
Absolutely. And, you know, I'll talk about the formula we boiled down to today, but who on here has knows very little, or maybe just started out with, or maybe even the first time even hearing or thinking about the law of attraction? How many people are on what you would say is very just basic, if no knowledge whatsoever, side of the law of attraction? Anybody at that level? Yeah, we got one. You know, Michaela down there. Michaela is such a book reader. I think Michaela's probably read hundreds of books about the law of attraction, right, Michaela? You're a voracious reader, correct?
Yeah, I definitely don't read.
Yeah. Okay. So this book, she actually says that maybe she'll read. This is a college student. This is how you get through college today. You don't read any books. It's really mind-boggling to me. But this girl is proving that you can go through college without reading a book. But she does tell me that she's going to read this book. So I'm
Wait, that also, both my roommates are here and wanted to say
Congratulations.
thank you. Hey, so do either of you read books? How many books?
And I'm actually very into everything that you're writing about. So spirituality, manifestation. So I'm very excited.
Perfect. So see, we have this whole mix. So the thing that we brought to this, which Takara and I think kind of helps on both spectrums, whether you're on, hey, I just am coming to know it, or I'm really interested in it, I've known it for a long time. One of the things that's always been missing, and was always missing for me when I first came to know about the law of attraction, is how does it work? I always wanted to know how things work. And I know my brother Jeff will attest to this. I drove my mother crazy by just never leaving her a piece about, I would never just say yes to something without wanting to know, well, why? Why do I have to do this? Or why does this go on? And that's what we wanted to bring to this. So we have a simple, so our formula, which you can find, it's on page 55 of the book, the whole formula in one picture. But it starts with kind of the way so if we start with thought, it's not just about thought, it's a thought program. And the program requires, there's 3 parts to triangle. It's like the fire triangle. So if you're going to have a fire, you need 3 components to create a fire. You need oxygen, you need fuel, which if you're going to have a campfire, it'll be wood, and then you need some kind of spark. So my preferred spark is a match, because I can't create 2 flints together, but you need all 3 of those, that energy, spark, the fuel, and the oxygen to create a fire. So for the mental programs that go to the universe, you need 3 components, which one is your thought, but focused thought. 1 and 2, which is like the oxygen in the room, the belief that it's personally possible for you. So if you don't believe something is personally possible for you, it does not matter what you do, it won't be something that you'll create. And then the third part is, what's the energy that you put into to that. So, on a positive side, if you're trying to create something that could be positive passion and anticipation and joy for what you're doing. But the law of attraction also works the other way. It doesn't only respond to positives, responds to negatives as well. So if you're fearful of something, like I'm going to lose my job, I believe I'm going to lose my job, my boss hates me, I'm afraid of losing my job, that's a pretty potent mix that becomes very apparent to the universe. So we go into this in the book, and it's a mathematical concept of absolute value. And absolute value is the distance away from 0. So a -10 is an absolute value is 10, because it's 10 away from 0, and a +10 is also 10 because it's 10 away from 0, but they're the opposite direction. So the law kind of works in that same way. So you have to really be careful of what's going on in your mind. Now, when you're conscious and intentional, which we'll talk about later, yes, no one would say, yes, I am going to go out today and try to manifest the thing that I don't want in life. So as we talk later, it will become important by paying attention to what's going on. But those are 3 of the first components. And the analogy we use for how this works is like a 3D printer. So a 3D printer takes a design that you put in a computer and then will print out, like it melts plastic and it'll make very intricate designs, parts. A lot of companies now use 3D printers to make very small, intricate parts for machinery that are very difficult to machine by cutting out from a piece of metal or plastic. We said that the law works the same way. So your mental program goes up into the universe, and then the universe coalesces like a 3D printer, what you manifest into your physical reality. So we're big on trying to have just simple mental models, but when you hear me talk, I say a lot of science things, but trust me, the book is not a bunch of science. If it was, I would probably tell you not to read it. And if you did pick it up, you would probably, it would be very dry. So while it has the roots in science, there's a lot of stories and it's woven through so that it brings the science in, but it reads more as in a story. Now, Takara took all my science words and made them feel much less sciencey, which I thank her for.
I worked hard to make it not so sciencey. It was a lot of work, but it was, we just kept refining and refining. How can we say this more simply so that everyone can understand, and in a way that's engaging, not like, it's not like this college textbook, it's a life manual. Okay. I think it's time for a prize to be given out.
Excellent.
That is what I think.
That's a great idea.
Julie's going to do some sort of magic behind the scenes. And for those people that are here live, she's going to do something magic behind the scenes, and we're going to have a winner here.
Yes, it's called spinning my participant wheel here.
Nice. I love it.
Actually, it landed on Lynn Wise.
All right, Lynn. You are the happy new owner of a beautiful, beautiful mug. So,
Very nice.
Yeah, so you can send a private message to Julie if she doesn't already have your info to make sure that we know how to get that to you. Okay.
We'll figure that out.
All right. And I think maybe we could give another gift away too, right behind it. And this one, what I want people to do is I want you to check Amazon stats right now, ebook and print book, and tell us where we're sitting. Okay. So you have to go to the Amazon page. And if you're on a computer, this works easy. If you're on a phone, I don't know what to tell you. But you go into Amazon and you Google, you search for Unleash Your Future. Okay. And you click on the page. Katrina's got it. Did Katrina, you got the answer?
Yeah, so you're number 7 in free will and determinism and philosophy, number 9 in self-help and new age religion, and number 11 in religion and philosophy books.
Nice.
Excellent.
Nice.
And you have a number 1 new release badge. So are you checking all the different countries? Are you international yet? You are.
Yeah.
We
are not yet. We are number 2 hot new release in Australia.
Okay. But under 100, you're still a bestseller, right? So
yes, we know we're a bestseller. We actually decided we weren't going to call ourselves that if we weren't in the top 10, and we've been in the top 10 in multiple lists so far. So yeah.
Awesome. International bestseller.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. So Katrina gets a gift as well. So I will. Okay. Do you want a book or do you want a journal? Which would you prefer?
I'll take the book.
Okay.
Very nice.
All right.
Awesome.
I
just gave a bunch of books. I gave like 20 books away this week at my event. So I need to replenish.
Sounds good. Sounds good. All right. So based on what Mark just said, who has questions? Who has comments? No comments, no questions? Who got to see the book beforehand? Who's already seen the book? Anybody here? All right.
Mr. Beekler saw it. I showed it to him the other day.
No, but has anybody actually read it yet? That's
Oh,
here. Has
Yes,
anybody
you
seen
showed it,
that's
but I
ready?
haven't read it yet. I just ordered mine today. So
Okay.
I wouldn't let him actually take it from me because it was the
Wouldn't.
only one. Oh, no, we do have some others who have read it. Jackie, you have it. You may have started to read it, and right? Tanya as well.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. So
Mark and Takara,
So
you have a question in
Okay.
the chat from Lisa is asking, how is this concept significantly different than, say, The Secret?
okay.
Well,
So
yeah,
go
go ahead, Takara. No, you go ahead.
okay. So the difference between The Secret, which is mostly talking about thinking, wishing, getting clear about what you want and focusing on that. This is much more application oriented, okay? Because it's not enough to think it and wish for it and hope for it. There actually is other steps required. And that's what's missing. The other thing that's missing, which is huge, okay? Nobody else has the formula. The other thing that no one else seems to have is when it doesn't work, like you've figured out something, you were visualizing it, you were sitting and oming or whatever you were doing, but you came up with an idea that you had a goal that you were trying to achieve and you didn't actually achieve it. Nobody knows what to tell you what to do, right? And we do. Anytime something that you're trying to achieve does not manifest, we have an evaluation tool that helps you look at exactly what went wrong. So you can determine, so it's a way to analyze the result you're getting, which right now is not what you want, okay? You analyze the result using our formula and our evaluation technique, and then you can go, oh, I need to change this, and you know exactly what to change. And that's what's different, and that's what we've not found anywhere else. And that's why we're so excited about what we put together.
Yeah, and honestly, Lisa, for me, The Secret was the start of wanting to know how it worked. It's like, okay, I come away from The Secret saying this is plausible to me, but I can't do anything with that. So that really started me on, that seems like it could be real to me, but there's got to be a way that it actually works. And that kind of set me off on the journey to try to figure that out. So Jackie, anything like, because you apply this in your life, I know, and you've written a little bit about it as well in your book. Anything that would jump out from you or that you like to share with the group?
Well, sure. And I'm halfway through the book. I was going to put that in the chat, but yes, I like the practical application that you explain in detail. And it just made it very easy for me to internalize the information on a different level. And yes, what I've written is very similar in my own voice, in my own way, but reading your book, and I think I shared this with you, Mark, it just really excited me that what I thought was possible, you all have explained scientifically, have broken it down to make it very palatable, easy to understand and apply. And I'm excited for whatever kind of group coaching you all put together, because I just feel like you're going to impact a lot of lives in a positive way.
Well, thank you, Jackie. That's what we were shooting for, that piece, to have it boiled down to that simple level of really how it works. And then once you come from this place of how it works, there's this part then that Takara's going to talk about. Well, you think then it's simple. It's like, oh, well, boy, I just know what I want and away I go. And it really is not that simple. Invariably, if you go to somebody and say, oh, like, here's this law, this is what you can create your own experience, it'd be like $1 million. Yep, I think just $1 million would be great. But it really doesn't work that way, does it, Takara?
No, it doesn't work that way at all. And part of it is there's a couple things. So what I'm going to talk about right now is, we call it mirror, mirror on the wall, because that's one of the exercises that we have in there. But it's like, people think that they want a certain thing, right? And a lot of times what they think they want isn't actually what they want, right? Sometimes a lot of times there's a deeper why, you know. For some people, money is not a motivator, right? They have all the money that they need to live the way they want to live. And so wanting, you know, millions of dollars or whatever, it's like, it sounds interesting, but they're not willing to do the work necessary to pull it off, to bring it to fruition, right? Because there is work involved. There's personal shifts that are required, and there's, you know, like I often tell people that I work with that are authors, I'm like, if I had already become the person I needed to be a best-selling author, I would have already been a best-selling author, right? I had to grow into the role. So when we set goals, we have to grow into those roles. And we talk all about that in the book. But with Mirror, Mirror, the exercise is this: getting clear about what it is you want. And one of the ways to do that, one of the practical, tangible tools, is looking in the mirror, right? If you have 2 or 3 things that you want to do, and you can't decide, do I really want this? Do I not want that? Like, I've never been one of those people that didn't know what I wanted. You know, given choices, I know exactly, but that's just me. And there's a lot of people that that's not true of, right? A lot of people are like, they're kind of wishy and like, I don't know, I'm not so sure. The best way to find out, or one of the great tools that I discovered years ago, is that you look in the mirror and you start talking about the options. Okay, so if you have one choice, you just look in the mirror and you just talk about it and see how you look. Because what happens is, if it's not something you're excited about, you'll be really, it'll be very deadpan. There'll be no passion involved with it. Your voice you won't have any energy or excitement in your voice. And when you are starting to talk about something that you do want, something that is really a heartfelt desire, then you get animated, you get excited. I mean, I'm going to call out my son. When my son is passionate about something, he gets very animated, and he's not the only one. Like, people do this. You start talking faster. You start, you know, waving your arms around. You have more energy, and just looking in the mirror is a great way to determine that for yourself. You don't have to have somebody else watching you going, well, that's obviously a passion. You know, you can determine it yourself. So that's the mirror, mirror on the wall. You have to know exactly what you want. It has to be a true heartfelt desire. And then you got to plug all the things into the formula and use it.
Yeah, that so it is so important to go through that exercise of what you really want. You know, I used to think, oh, well, yeah, but if this law is real, money seems like the thing that you would want, because so much is equated to success or freedom is money. But what I really, for me, understood was, I really wanted the freedom to do what I wanted to do the kind of work I wanted to do. And there was a story in the book where I took this job in the company that I work for, and somebody on this call told me, do not take that job, right? So Lynn told me, do not take that job. I did not listen to Lynn. I took that job and immediately found out it was the most miserable job that I had ever had in my life. But what it led me to was, it led me then into the group where Lynn and Brian were working, and really got me to a place where I was able to learn and work on new technologies that still to this day are things that I consult on and have expertise in the outside world. So you never know where these paths take you, right? If I would have listened to Lynn, I probably would have been happier in that moment, but I would have never ended up in that group, and I would have never learned those things. Now, I could have ended up, you know, I'm sure, like somewhere else, but you have to look at every action, and kind of, you can go with the flow and not have the regrets of where you go, but come and take kind of what you learn along the way. We come to this place of, then once you know how the process works. Hello, Steve. I see you in there in the back, and it is happy hour, Steve. So I'm glad that I'm hoping
you're totally fine.
You're perfect. I had the second dose of the vaccine a couple of days ago, and they told me to hydrate for many, many days afterwards. So I'm still hydrated. So when you understand then how it works and what you want, then this is really one of the keys to success for those who really experience the success they want versus those who don't. It's really about becoming intentional, right? It's understanding what's going on in your mind and focusing on the things that you want, right? Versus there's so often that we go through life and just in this kind of status quo, we do the same things over and over again, even if they lead us to things that we don't like. And it's easy, right? It's easy to not think, to do the same things. And, I'm a bit crazy if you haven't already figured that out. But one of the things when I'd be in an airport, this thought would always come to me, and it's the second law of thermodynamics, the law of entropy, which is that systems, people, you name it, anything that's a system seeks to be at its lowest energy level. So it wants to expend the least amount of energy. So if you're in an airport, so to order something, to make it more organized, it takes energy to put in. So if you're in an airport, think about how much energy people have. Lots of passion and most of the time negative energy about necking down into a line to go through security or necking down into a line to get on a plane. So they become very ordered. There's a lot of energy. But once you get through the line, you just disperse out and everything comes to ease. So that point of moving, of creating more order, of paying attention and ordering your thoughts takes energy. And if you don't do that, then it's easier to stay in the grind of, in the status quo of just over and over doing the same thing, even though if you stopped and thought about it, it's like the definition of insanity. If I'm going to do the same things over and over again and expect a different result, that's crazy, but it's hard to overcome. So you have to know, this is why one of the big areas where we say this can't be effortless, right? Because effortless means it's already within your lowest energy state where you're comfortable. And if you were already in that place, and Takara mentioned it earlier, you'd already have those certain things or already be doing certain things. So by definition, to go out of your comfort zone, to move to somewhere different, you have to expend a bit of energy. So being intentional takes some work. I mean, if I said, how many people can raise their hand honestly and say, yes, multiple times a day, I stop and think of what I'm thinking about and really weed out those thoughts I don't want. How many people do that? Now, so Dr. Beverly, see that's intentional, but it takes effort to get there. Did you always do that, Dr. Beverly? So tell us about how, the work you did to kind of get to be able to do that.
Sorry, I have to stay muted because I've got two dogs. Just really quickly in a nutshell, I got really sick. I got really sick, and a doctor, believe it or not, an MD, after visiting many doctors who didn't help me, I went through years of hell. Several near-death experiences, anaphylactic shock several times a week. He told me to go meditate. Well, I was an atheist. What do you mean meditate? That's woo-woo crap, I was a scientist, you don't meditate. But I was desperate. So I asked around at work and someone said meditate. And now that's a passion of mine to help other people because it will change your life. And now my PhD is actually in metaphysical sciences. And that's just science we don't understand. It's tomorrow's science.
Right.
And, my dissertation was on frequency healing. And so I spent a lot of time. What am I thinking about? What am I doing? Where's my energy? What am I manifesting? Because your thoughts are what you're going to manifest, whether they're good or bad.
Exactly.
The universe doesn't know the difference.
Nice.
Excellent.
So we got a couple things we need to do. So one is it's time for another gift. Julie's going to do her magic.
What are we giving away, Takara?
We're giving away a journal that matches the book cover, a beautiful, beautiful journal. Because journaling, we talk about all through the book and the importance of journaling, right? The other thing that I talk a lot about in the book is about meditation. And so there's all, you know, so some of the gifts that you get when you buy during the launch, which is this weekend, you know, there's a few guided meditations. There's this wonderful paper that talks about lining it up with your beliefs, because beliefs really matter. And again, all through the book, we talk about that and ways to overcome limiting beliefs, tools, practical tools. So you're going to give us a gift. You're going to give us a winner. You ready, Julie?
Yep. Let me spin.
All right. Do, 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 do,
Do, do, do, do, do, do,
do.
do. All right. Bonita Joy Yoder.
Yay, Benita. All right. Congratulations.
I receive. Thank you.
Nice, nice.
My web camera's screwy, but I'm here.
All right. And then Julie said that there was a question.
Yes. Let me go back and find that. I think it was from
And while she's
Angel.
looking, when she's looking for it, I want to say, like, my I'm kind of washing in and out, and it's because the sun is shining on me so brightly. I mean, it happens to me a lot when I go around. The sun's always shining on me, so it's washing out my camera. So
I
I'm
thought you were
doing
just radiating energy. I just thought you were just
I'm
radiating.
doing my best with my light, but when the sun comes in on this time of day, it gets so bright that my light for the camera can't wash it out. So now it's good, but sun's behind a cloud. So just I'm not in the darkness like Brother Jeff, but I am I'm sometimes too much in the light.
Too funny. I think because of the timing, I think we should give away another gift as well.
I like it.
So
Okay.
you want to spin again?
Yes, but before I lose the question, so you
Yes,
can
yes.
start thinking about it. It's from
Okay.
Angel, and she had asked about how to move beyond the negative thought.
Okay.
So I will spin around. And what are we giving this time? Are we back to a mug?
I think this time we are going to give away a book.
A book?
Oh.
Okay. All right. It landed on. Wait, hold on. It landed on Michaela, and so Michaela doesn't really need a book.
No, we can't. That would just be completely rigged.
Oh,
All right. It landed on Joshua Hicks.
He doesn't need a book either.
Yeah, because that's
my son.
Takara's son. So
Oh, all right.
this nepotism's got to stop.
Oh, hey,
Maybe
sorry.
they really need to read the book. Maybe they really need to read the book.
They might.
Hey, no
This is good.
worries. All right, Angela Shim.
All right.
Perfect.
All
I
right,
was waiting
Angela.
for you to read, call my name because I love reading books. And
Love it.
Excellent.
Love
love
it.
the topic.
Excellent.
So, and I love physical books versus
Great.
Excellent.
the version.
Excellent.
Great. Okay.
I'm from Canada, so for all
Hey, Angela, hi.
this. Hey,
All right. So the question was how to overcome, like when you're in a negative space, right? So there's a lot of different tools, and we actually have a bunch of them in the book. But one of when we talk about, I like to talk about elements. Okay. So, and this gets a little woo, sorry about that. But I mean, most people know what their sun sign is, right? In astrology, most people know. And every single one of the signs, this is not in the book, by the way. This is a special thing for you guys. Okay, so if you know your sun sign and so every one of the signs falls into one of the four elements: earth, air, fire, or water. Okay, and the important thing about that, and I talk about that in my meditation book, is that the best way to kind of zen and get into a happy place is to get associated with that element. Okay. So I don't have them all in front of me and I don't remember the list, right? I'm Pisces. I know that I'm water. Okay. And so you can look it up. What is the element for my sun sign? And you can look up the astrology for that. Right. But earth does really well gardening and doing stuff with plants and playing with crystals and just being out in nature and working with rocks. Okay, earth signs. Fire signs love a fireplace, a candle, anything to do with fire. Okay, safely, of course. But even for those people, did you know that there's an app for phones, I don't know if it's for which, like Android or Apple, but there is an app that lets you look at a flickering flame. Okay. It just shifts your mindset. It's a great meditation tool. Okay. To just stare at a flame if you're a fire sign. If you are a water sign, like me, all you need is the sound of water, or to be in water or near water. Look at water, be in water, take a bath, go into the shower. Nothing changes my energy state or my mental state more than going out and sitting by a stream and listening to the water tremble over the rocks, right? That is my happy place. And then another way for the air signs is to listen to wind is fabulous, but also wind chimes and sounds that have to do with wind, and also being up high, right? So if you're a hiker, you go to a higher place overlooking things. Air signs love elevation, okay? Mark and I both shift our state from listening to music. The music that I tend to listen to is acoustic. He and I both really, really like violin. He's got particular violin, artists that he prefers. I find that I do better with kind of new agey, more acoustic. I like shamanic, like drumming, that sort of thing. But I just put on Pandora and I listen to like ambient kind of music where it's just, there's no words. Because if I hear words, I want to listen to what they're saying. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to listen to the words. And so I'm not getting my own thoughts. I'm getting what they're saying. So for me, it has to be without anybody talking or singing. But the idea is to just try all of those and see what works better for you, and anything, if for a great, also another recommendation, which this is not in the book either, is Mel Robbins, just her 5-second rule, just go learn it. I mean, I'm serious. I send people there like on YouTube all the time. Just go watch Mel Robbins do a couple of talks and do her 5-second rule, and it will help you shift your focus in the moment really, really well. That's what I have to say about that.
Yeah, and I think what Takara's hitting on there is anything that makes you feel good, right? So it could be being out in nature. Like I like to run, so like whatever goes on, if I can run outside, the sun, anything that uplifts your energy, gets you out of that state. I think, Angel, it's a really good question, because if you are trying to shift to a new experience, it's almost impossible to do it if your energy level, if you're feeling bad, you're feeling down. So the first step is just if you can release from all the stuff that's going on and do something that just gets you into a more positive energy state. And we all have something, right? There's all something that we like. So Takara mentioned for me in the violin, I found that by accident. Like, many years ago, no one would say, I take you for a very big violin connoisseur. Like you really love, it didn't occur that way. It through time, by just hearing it in a different place. It's like, there's something about when I hear, and particularly, it's high energy violin. So Lindsay Sterling's one of my favorite artists with the violin, because she plays it with so much energy. Or Celtic Woman, they play the fiddle with so much energy, right? And that just makes me feel, that raises my vibration level. So anything you can do that does that, you're in a good state. Exactly.
Is it possible for me to share my screen because you're driving the bus? Okay.
Yeah, I think yes.
I want to share my screen for just a minute. And it was said way early on, we were talking about the book is about practical application. And this is a quote from my dear, dear friends, Jonathan and Andy Goldman. And they said, for all those longing to transform their lives and open to a flow of authentic self-fulfillment, Unleash Your Future is an inspiring and motivating must-read. With their unique perspective, Takara and Mark have taken the law of attraction a huge step further down the path to practical application, helping to accentuate your life's dreams. Beautifully written and easy to follow. It provides a fresh look at intentionally creating the lives we have always wanted, right? So I just wanted to reemphasize that practical application, actual exercises. Every single chapter has exercises, has things that you're to do in your journal, has experiences that you're to go out and do. And it's the way that it goes from just knowledge to actually becoming part of your life and the way that you operate in the world. And so I just thought I'd share. All right, and now I need to stop sharing.
Well, and we were talking about sound there too. So like Jonathan is very much into the sound energy and healing of sound. And, you know, so there's so many different ways, as Takara said, that you can raise your energy level. And if you pay attention, right, and it really can come to, like I said, for me, I wasn't expecting it to occur in that way through the violin. So if you pay attention to when you feel happy, what are you doing? Stop and say, what is going on? I mean, it could just be as simple as that. It doesn't have to be anything profound that you're doing. It might be, hey, I'm finally alone. I'm just sitting outside, right? Or I could be doing some craft. I could be doing something with my hands, whatever it is that gives you that feeling.
Exactly.
And there's one last thing, and I think we have one more thing to give away, but before I think we have another mug to give away, but before that, there's one last thing that ties this all together. We can do all of the programming in the world, and we can become all the intentionality. And one of the questions, and Lisa asked it earlier, around what's different about The Secret. When I think about The Secret, I think about the one image that comes to my mind is the guy who is dreaming about the car, and he's sitting in his chair and he's like vroom, 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 driving around in his car. It's like you're on your chair and you don't do anything. Right. And that's couldn't be further from the truth. So there's a last part here that's really important that we want to make sure we touch on before we end here in a few minutes. And Takara, there's that last part.
That was for me, right?
Yes, and take it away, Takara.
And I've been talking about it a little bit, but it's like action is required. Okay. And the bigger the dream, the more actions you tend to have to take, right? To take a book from thought into written, to editing, to publishing, there are a lot of steps, okay? And that is true of almost every dream and goal and aspiration that we have. You have to take actions, right? We have several people here that have gone to college or are going to college, and it's like, there's actions. You got to show up, you got to go to class, you got to study, you got to take tests, you got to, you have to do things. And that's the same thing with everything in life. And what we've discovered is that the bigger the dream, well, first of all, we really recommend that when you first start out, you don't choose gigantic goals. You choose ones that are just outside your comfort zone, just out of reach, ones you've tried to achieve, but you haven't yet, but that are still in your, I believe it's possible for me realm, right? And then as you have success with those, you'll start having greater successes and you can go for bigger dreams. But the bigger the goal, the more actions are required and the more outside your comfort zone you tend to have to get. But action is required. And we talk a lot about action in there. We have chapters devoted to it and what that looks like, and that there is a special, almost magical part of action. Magical isn't really the right word, but there's special actions that make a huge difference. All actions are good. Some actions make a much bigger impact, and you got to read the book to get that one.
Yeah, and that's on page 156 where we start to talk about those kind of actions that, not all actions are created equal.
Exactly. The other thing I want to talk about, because it just popped in my head, is that with the launch this weekend, there's a lot of free gifts. There's like 25 or something gifts that you get for free as bonuses for buying now. Okay. But the other theme that we stuck in the book is there are gifts inside that we gave you, right? I walk you through a guided meditation. We have a checklist. We have different things that are built in there. So if you read it, you'll find a link and you just go in and you get these gifts they enhance the teaching in the book. And so I want you to make sure you see those when you're reading. Don't skip them.
Yeah, and what we really try to do is make sure we're always coming back to, at the end of each chapter, exercises and, key points, so that you could go through the book once and, you may come back to it. Our thought is, if I think about my journey, certain books that I read, I went back to, and when I went back to them, they made more sense when I went back to them maybe years later, based on my new understanding. You kind of go through it once, you do some things, and in reality, that we talk about this, it's a journey. And I always like to use the example of baseball, because like the game of baseball or the game of soccer, they're the same from the time you're playing when you're young, first pick up a ball, till the highest professional level. The games are essentially the same. And so it takes time to build skills and work on things and go back and practice. So to think, I always say in baseball, if you're like a 6-year-old, you hit off the tee one day, it's like, man, I got it. I love this game. Tomorrow, I just think I'm just going to go to the professional level. I'm going to step in that batter's box, 95 mile an hour fastball, hit a home run. It's about 0% chance that'll happen. And it's like 0% chance that if somebody just told you about the law of attraction today, tomorrow you're going to manifest $1 million through that methodology. So it takes time. It doesn't mean those things are very possible. And could things occur very quickly? Yes, but when you understand the system and you look at it, you'll understand the enormous amount of energy that needs to be on all three sides of the triangle and make that happen. So when you become realistic and you say, I'm going to move my way there, and you build wins through life, it kind of really works out that way. So I'm being told we really have a fabulous mug to give away. And I do like the mug, but if my kids can't win, I'm pretty sure I can't win. So Julie, why don't you take away for a mug?
Sorry, I was muted.
That's okay.
Let me spin here.
Do, 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 do.
All right, TF Brockett.
All right.
Anya. Woo!
All right.
Tanya, can you send me your
Excellent.
address information?
That'd be great. All right. So does anybody have any questions? Any more questions? Any comments? Anything?
Any words of wisdom that you have to share with the group? Jewel.
I have a technical question.
Okay.
I have that we had another journal. Were there two journals? Did I miss one? Did I miss writing down one?
I think there's another journal.
I think, yeah. I think spin that wheel. I mean, this is overtime. We got a gift in overtime.
All right. Where's my music this time?
Oh, do 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 do. Oh, now you get hands too. Do do do.
Oh, we get movement.
All right, Krista.
Woo.
All right, Krista.
Nice.
And I know Krista wants to write a book, so that journal is going to be the thing she can write it in.
That is it. That is it. Yeah. And
excellent.
And, some of these gifts may at some point actually be available for sale. I'm thinking at some point. Yeah. Because we just fell in love with so much with the umbrella, the hot air balloon logo, right? That we're going to create some products and, have journals available and have mugs available. And what I really want is some lovely wine glasses that are etched with it. We couldn't get them done in time. So, but that's next on the list.
One step at a time. And before we go, I am happy to report that we moved up to number 5 in our highest category. So we're still on the move in the positive direction.
Yay! Thank you to everyone who has attended this. Thank you to everyone who has purchased. Thank you for all of our launch partners who sent it and told their mailing list about it. We really appreciate it. And there's more to come. Like, we're here to answer questions, and we've got I don't mean right now. We're going to end the party, but what I mean is that Mark and I, like, this is a journey. And this is just, reading the book is just the start of it. Okay, so there's lots of ways to interact with us, and we want to help you achieve all your dreams. That's our greatest goal and blessing and gift and hope for you.
Yes, and thank you for sharing this this few minutes with us. We really appreciate you all coming here. You all in your own ways have contributed to on the way of this journey, and we wanted you to know that we appreciate it, and we really appreciate you taking the time on a Friday evening, afternoon, or later or earlier, depending on where you're at. So thank you.
One more thing, I would love for Julie to show that cake one more time, because some of the people here didn't get to see it, but Julie had this cake made. It is gorgeous. There it is with the book cover. They get to eat it. I just get to look at it on a picture. Thank you so much for supporting it. Thank you, Julie, for running this room and for doing it so beautifully, because it makes life so much easier. So we really appreciate that skill that you have and your ability to help us. So thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Julie, and for doing everything. So you have some parting words?
Congratulations, Mark and Takara. I'm really proud of both of you.
Yes, thank you, Julie. Thanks for doing the event. Thanks for your support. And everyone have a great weekend.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
All right, bye.